Hey everybody, and welcome to Old Roommates. Today on the show, we revisit Star Wars, the 1977 blockbuster smash at long last on Old Roommates. Join us, grab a lightsaber and your favorite Wookiee, and have a seat.
Alrighty, well, that was quite the intro there, Brian. Welcome, everyone, to Old Roommates. This is, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. You should have seen Brian's face when I almost forgot to say the tagline. He just whipped up. Your face went flying up almost off your body.
And this is Brian.
Go ahead.
Wow. Well, I mean... you just did it completely wrong.
Well, I was a little bit amazed at your intro. You
Why?
had a lot of excitement. Someone's very excited about this movie.
Christina, I feel like we forgot this movie existed. This is...
Maybe you did.
Oh my God. Because it's like, I feel like this is like, if we're talking about pop culture, 70s, 80s, 90s, like Star Wars. I mean, it has never stopped.
I know, it's still going,
it's
right?
Still going strong. So we begin, as we always do, as soon as Christina's done insulting me, we talk about then, Christina, I am dying to know your relationship with Star Wars, Episode 4, A New Hope, May 25th, 1977. Let's hear it.
Okay, well, I'm glad you asked. Thank you for asking. So, generally speaking, I'm not a big fan of sci-fi movies.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've talked about this before on the podcast. This movie, however, I saw in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
I was 10 years old.
Okay.
I also saw Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi in the theaters.
Wow.
Yes. These movies were a big deal.
Yeah.
Huge, huge deal when they came out. And I felt the excitement. I wanted to see them. I enjoyed this movie. And I think part of the reason is because I didn't usually watch movies like this. You know, it's sort of a surprise. You have something in your mind like what it's going to be like. And I remember seeing this with some of my neighbors, and just, it was like a big deal to go to this movie. I thought it was fun and interesting and so different that it just captured my attention throughout the whole thing.
Wow.
So yeah, I clearly remember that. With that being said, I have never felt the desire to watch it again.
Okay.
So it wasn't something
Wait,
that
you've only seen this movie once?
I've seen this movie...
Well, twice, because of the rewatch. Right?
Yes, this was my second time in my life of watching this movie.
Wow.
So, and after Return of the Jedi, I mean, it was quite a while. I mean, how many years was it between Return of the Jedi and then the next three? It was quite a few years, right? It was like 30 years or something, or am I exaggerating?
Hey, please don't do this.
All right, it was a long time in between. Like, I felt like it was the three movies for a long, 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 long time. And then they decided to do three more.
I feel like Phantom Menace had to have been in the 90s. I think Phantom Menace is
okay.
I want to say 90s. I'm guessing like 98, 97.
20 years.
Yeah,
say 20 years.
Yeah.
So that was just the three, and I never had the desire to watch them again. And to be honest, when the other ones came out, I had no desire to watch any of the others. So I've only seen those three. And I only saw each of them once.
Same. Well, no. Same on the only three.
Okay.
I've seen Star Wars a ton of times.
Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back, yes. And Return of the Jedi I've seen probably a couple times. Yeah, it's funny because when the Phantom Menace came out, so basically, well, let me go back. Star Wars in 1977, I was 5. I remember seeing this movie probably 3 times in the theater or in a drive-in or something, and just being blown away. I became the biggest Star Wars geek. I had Star Wars sheets, Star Wars t-shirts,
oh my gosh.
Star Wars action figures. I collected as many Star Wars action figures as I could.
I really wish you had them still. Like, I had pictures of them or something.
I don't want to talk about that.
That would be amazing.
And Yeah, and I just love them. I remember having this big book of Star Wars trivia. It was paperback, and I could answer it. My stepfather Norman would he's like, fine, blah 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 blah. I'm like, blah 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 blah, and I would just know. And he's like, oh my god. And if I ever got anything wrong, I would just study the wrong answers.
Oh my gosh.
But I'm telling you this, I couldn't answer a damn question in that book right now.
That's so funny.
But
back then, I mean, I remember that it was so huge.
Yeah.
I remember. Do you remember reading about these people would break world records for the amount of times they would see Star Wars? Do you remember? I remember reading about one kid saw Star Wars 225 times or something like that. Oh my god. I remember that being a big thing. How many times did you watch it? How many times,
Right.
It was a huge thing. People were crazy about it.
It also was in the theaters for a long time because people kept going back. So really quick, the budget on this movie, $11 million.
Wow.
The box office was $776 million.
Oh my
so
god.
It became the highest grossing movie of all time, beating Jaws. So Jaws held the title since 75. And then, but E.T. came out in 82, and then that's when E.T. became the highest grossing film of all time. However, when you adjust for inflation, the number one film of all time is Gone with the Wind. The number two film is Star Wars.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was up for 10 Oscar nominations. It won 7. But I was a big geeky Star Wars fan. I loved it.
I love it. That's so great. I could totally see that. I looked this up real quick we'll just talk quickly about the movie. So Star Wars, the originals, 1977, The Empire Strikes Back, 1980, Return of the Jedi, 1983.
Yeah.
And then in 1999, they came out with the next 3,
Phantom
which is actually the before. Oh my gosh, I'm lying. I did see episode 1 because I remember the little boy in it.
Okay.
I did see the episode 1. I apologize. So it's episode 1, 1999, episode 2, 2002, episode 3, 2005, and then in 2015 was the start of the 3rd trilogy. And so it was 2015, 2017, and then 2019.
I would have watched The Phantom Menace if I had heard one good thing about it. I heard that it was just bad. I heard that Jar Jar Binks is awful. I heard the special effects are kind of rough. Jar Jar
Binks. So we should have a most annoying character conversation someday. Jar Jar Binks is by far the most annoying character I've ever seen. And keep in mind, I've seen Harry Potter, and Dobby held that honor for a long time. Okay. But Jar Jar Binks is by far the most annoying character. Terrible. But I did enjoy seeing... I liked the backstory of it. And I know we're not here to talk about this movie, but I liked the backstory of seeing Darth Vader as a child. And, meeting his mother. And, just all these, crazy... Yeah. Things about it.
It's because it's a soap opera.
Very cool to see him as a sympathetic, cute little boy.
Yeah.
How can you hate this kid, or how did he become evil? And I never saw the other 2, so I don't really know exactly how he became evil, but whatever.
So now, jumping into the now, when did you rewatch this?
I rewatched it actually just a few days ago.
Okay.
Yeah, just a few days ago. I was trying. My husband Matt wanted to watch it with me, but again, just trying to find a time to do that. Honey, I can't wait. Too much longer.
I pause things when they catch me, either for better or worse. I pause. So I'm like, Carl can watch things with me, but it's like, I feel like he might be a little annoyed,
Yeah, and it can go both ways too, because I remember I was a little bit nervous to watch The Commitments. A couple weeks ago we had The Commitments. I was a little bit nervous to watch The Commitments with Matt because he knows the movie so well, and he was talking about it, talking over it. I'm like, I didn't have to actually ask him not to do it. He wasn't as bad as I had hoped. I was afraid he was going to be, but anyway, we couldn't find enough time to get together, so I ended up watching it on a Saturday morning.
And what'd you think?
So I forgot a lot about this. This was quite a few years ago, and again, I hadn't seen it since. But there's a couple of things that surprised me in a funny way. Okay. I think overall, there was less action than I had thought there would be. And I think just thinking about even Marvel movies and things like that, 80% of the movie is fighting scenes, which is probably why I don't really love sci-fi movies to begin with. But this movie, there was so much talking and character development and just this. There was so much on the ground as opposed to in the sky that surprised me. I forgot a lot about that. I forgot about Luke's background on the whatever
farm.
Is it a farm? Like it's like a desert, but it's like kind of a farm desert. I forgot a lot about that. It started coming back to me as I was watching it, but I'm like, oh yeah. One thing that made me kind of get a little bit chills is that the first opening with a long time ago in a galaxy. I mean, that was the first time anybody had done that. I remember even I'm like, wow, that's so cool. And I'm watching it now and I'm like, that was cool back then.
Oh, you know what? So my middle-age lens on that, on the scroll, the big scroll you're talking about, I can't believe people read it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sitting there going, we are so impatient, aren't we? Like, we're so impatient now. Where I'm like, I can't believe in 1977. Well, I can believe because people did it. But I guess my point is, like, the fact that people would sit there and read this crazy scroll of information.
It was a lot of words.
A lot of words, Christina, and a lot of backstory, and wait, Princess Leia joined the rebellion, and the rebellion this, and now they recently had a win over the Empire.
Yeah,
but now
it was
it's
like
like
all these
oh my, the
there
stolen
was a lot
plans
going on.
The plans that could destroy the Death Star. It's their only hope for the da-da-da. And I'm like, wait, what the hell? What? And but that's now.
Yes.
But I remember being a little kid. How the hell? I'm 5. I am not.
Probably didn't. I'm sure I did not read the whole.
I am not reading the scroll at 5 years old.
I mean, you're in a theater, so I guess you're a
bigger,
captive audience. And you don't know what to expect. You don't know how long it's going to be. I'm sure I did not read it.
The second highest grossing film of all time in history begins with reading. And I that is something that blows my mind.
Yeah.
That was allowed.
Do all of the Star Wars movies start that way?
I don't know. But I know that those 3 do.
The first 3 do?
Yeah.
So what was funny about that too is I'm reading it. And I had to think, because there's a little bit of a confusion when you go to rent this movie. You're looking for Star Wars, the first Star Wars. But now, like, when I saw it, it was Star Wars. There was no A New Hope. There was no Episode 4. There was none of that when I saw it originally. So I'm like looking at it in the library and I'm like, wait, it's Episode 4. But I want to make sure that it's not fourth movie. I want to make sure it's the right one. So there's a little bit of confusion there. So I was pretty confident I had the right one.
Yeah.
When I finally had it in my hand. But it's scrolling and I'm reading all this stuff about like Phantom Menace and I'm like, shit. I knew it was the right one, but I'm like, did they doctor this? Is this really what it said before?
So
it was just, I was questioning.
I know. So I had a similar feeling too, because I'm watching the Star Wars. I watched it on Disney Plus, and there are a lot of creatures in this that were definitely not there in 1977.
Interesting.
And I have some critiques about that because I don't even know if they're really that efficient. Like these lizard creatures, they're like some of the stormtroopers the sand people and other people are riding these creatures that are so like clunky. I'm like, you get whiplash. You get nauseous on these lizards.
Yeah. Because that was in the movie I saw that I got from the library.
Yeah. But trust me, it wasn't there in 77. And I remember Jabba the Hutt not being in Star Wars at all. And then because he was originally a male actor playing Jabba, and he was this big guy, like big-bellied guy.
Oh my god.
And so when they decided that Jabba the Hutt would be this lizard slug, really a slug creature, they removed him from Star Wars, and then years later they put him in as the slug creature in Star Wars because they had established him in Return of the Jedi.
Oh,
so
okay, because
they went back and added
I remembered
stuff.
the slug.
Yeah.
I remember. I didn't realize, but I do remember thinking when Jabba the Hutt showed up, I was thinking to myself, I thought he was huge.
Yeah.
Like when I think about Jabba the Hutt,
he's like
I think of him as the size of this room. Yes,
yeah.
The size of this room. And I'm like, what? So I'm so glad you explained that because that was really surprising. I'm like, is that my memory playing tricks on me?
You can kind of tell, right? I mean, the Harrison Ford, like he went over to it. Like so in Disney Plus, it's kind of shoddy, to be honest. If there's like a critique,
the whole thing was a little bit off.
Like he's trying to at one point he touches Jabba, but it just looks a little like rough on the editing, but or the special effects. And then he walks around Jabba, and you can see like he sort of has to walk over his tail, but that's really clunky. At least on Disney Plus, the version I saw. But yeah, so it's like George Lucas went back and he was like he really wanted it to look a little fresher. I'm telling you, Disney Plus, it is clean and crisp as can be. This movie looks like $11 million.
Yeah.
But it looks amazing. But just the Jabba thing was the one that was like, no, this is a little.
I was so surprised. I didn't remember him being a man. I didn't remember any of that. Yeah. I remembered Jabba the Hutt as being a mountainous, big glob.
Yeah.
Just a blob like a blob.
Yeah.
So when I saw him as the slug, I believed him to be Jabba the Hutt. I believed him to be in the original.
Yeah.
But I was just so surprised that he was so small, and I was thinking it was me and my mind playing tricks on me.
Yeah.
So I feel better. My mind is still intact.
My first note, since we started a little negative, is also negative.
Oh, okay.
It made me laugh. So there are a couple things, 2 negatives in a row. Princess Leia. Okay, really quick. I forgot how feisty she was, and I loved every second of it. I think Carrie Fisher is great in this.
I agree.
Really quick, original casting. Jodie Foster.
She would be all right, I think.
Amy Irving.
Not
which
at all.
Which we just talked about with Saturday Night Fever. And Cindy Williams from Laverne and Shirley.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
No, I've never seen Cindy Williams as anything other than Shirley, so maybe she could have done a good job.
I think Cindy Williams would have been good in that, to be honest.
But she just never had the chance.
Because she's very bright. Like, Carrie Fisher is great, but I did, like, where's her accent? Like, she was British in some scenes, she's not in other scenes.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Strange. I was pleased to see her as well. I know you have another thought to finish. I was pleased to see her feisty as well, because when I started watching it, I'm like, ugh, I hope she's not just like this
damsel in distress.
Yeah, fairy princess thing, and she wasn't, which was great.
Yeah,
great. Go ahead. Finish.
But my note is, so Princess Leia, like, she's trying to hide in this bright white gown, and in the darkest room ever, and then she's like hiding, and she sees the stormtroopers, so she steps out. She's in hiding from stormtroopers, but then she sees the stormtroopers and steps out into the open.
Makes sense, right?
And then she shoots. There's like 5 stormtroopers. She shoots one, and then she turns around and tries to run in like the drapiest outfit she owns. And it's like, bad move. And then just go boing, and then she like falls flat down.
Well, I was glad that happened. I mean, it would be a little bit unrealistic if this, princess is running and 4 stormtroopers are shooting at her and they miss.
But there's a lot of that though too.
There is a lot of that.
But and the other thing right after that was C-3PO and R2-D2. They jump on this little escape pod. Now, let's remember, they're looking for the plans, the blueprint for the Death Star to basically destroy the Death Star.
Right.
They're not looking for a person. They're looking for that. So when this escape pod shoots out, the crew is ready to destroy this pod, right?
Yes.
And they're like, no, don't shoot. There's no life forms on board. It's like, but you're not hunting humans. You're looking for the secret transmissions. Yeah. They could have just put it on the tractor beam, and they could have just pulled it back in.
Do you think they said that to establish that R2-D2 and C-3PO were not alive, and that's how they viewed them as actual machines and not beings? Do you think they threw that in there just to kind of establish that for the audience?
Well, but remember when they step into the cantina, like, we don't serve your kind here.
That's true.
Yeah. So I don't know, but to me it's like, if the whole shakedown of this Death Star is that someone else knows where the weaknesses are. They're not looking for a person. They're looking for these transmissions. So, like, not to say they should have blown it up, the escape pod, but they could have tried to track it back to see if the transmissions were on there. What if Princess Leia threw those transmissions on that pod and hit escape? and then the transmissions would be out in outer space. I'm just saying, like, they didn't. I mean, they should have been a little brighter, than that. But it's sorry, it's my chair. It's a movie.
Sure it is.
I really positive. I got insane goosebumps with the music right off the bat.
Yeah,
Pure
the music
nostalgia
was nice.
is great.
Yeah, and we worked together at a place who played that soundtrack kind of nonstop.
Oh my god!
So it was nostalgia in 2 ways.
I forgot about that.
How could you forget about that?
I really did. I forgot.
It's like part of my blood.
Oh my god.
I did say so. I remembered. Obviously, I remember C-3PO and R2-D2. But what was funny about I loved R2-D2. I remember not liking C-3PO for some reason.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just didn't like him. I don't know, something about him. He was like kind of cold or whatever. When I was watching it this time, I think he was probably one of my favorite characters.
Oh, wow.
Because he was so damn funny.
Mm-hmm.
He was hilarious. I don't think I got a lot of his humor back then. I think I just thought him as kind of like a busybody.
It's tough. He's British. He's a little cold. Like you're saying, he's cold. He's a little snobby. He's very stiff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. But
he was always mad at R2-D2, and I really loved R2-D2, so I could see me as a 10-year-old being like, C-3PO is mean.
When he ever let R2-D2 just like rot with like the Jawas and they're selling the other one, it's like R2-D2 is like pleading for help, and C-3PO is just like do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then finally he's like, "Sir, the blue one is a good unit." I did laugh out loud jumping, but when when C-3PO was like trying to help them in the trash compactor. And then they are like they're screaming because they're so happy. And he's like, "Oh God, listen to them."
I remember that as a child. I have it written down. Where did I write it? Where is it? Listen to the dead dying, R2. I wasn't fast enough. It's all my fault. Yeah, that was pretty funny. I will say that the guys, it's the bad guys, but not the stormtroopers, like the actual humans. I mean, where is their armor? They're walking around like in regular clothes with like basically a bike helmet on.
Which ones?
It's the bad guys.
Yeah.
But it's not the stormtroopers. It's basically they're
the
the bosses.
Other guys.
They're the people.
Okay, yeah.
But they're like the boss.
Security guards.
Yeah,
and
they
stuff.
just walk around with like literally a bike helmet on their head, which
true.
made me laugh so much. Really, no anything. It doesn't even look like a suit of any kind.
Yeah.
It just looked like kind of jeans and a shirt.
True.
It was like funny. That made me laugh. But I did think that Darth Vader's entrance was really cool.
Oh, it's so good.
It was so creepy, and the breathing. Oh my god!
Yeah.
Whoever thought of the breathing should just, I don't know. I don't know who thought of it, but it was like made that entire villain. Yeah. He's a good villain.
He's a great villain. I laughed out loud a couple times, not gonna lie. So Luke sees the transmission from Princess Leia, and she's like, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope." And Luke says out loud, "Obi-Wan Kenobi. I wonder if she means old Ben Kenobi." I'm like, duh. Like, I don't care if you've never seen this
Luke,
movie.
you're pretty smart. I wonder.
Let's see. Obi-Wan Kenobi? Oh no, I only know an old Ben Kenobi.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I wish I
looking.
Wish I could help you, princess. Another great Luke moment. He says to C-3PO, "We can't go find R2-D2. It's too dangerous with the sand people." Mm-hmm. Fast forward 7 hours later. Oh, it's sand people. Let's go take a look. I'm like, no, wait.
All right, wait
you couldn't?
a minute. Wait a minute.
Before they were too dangerous, and now they're just like, now you're curious about them. You want to go spy on them.
Right. One of my favorite Luke moments is he's with C-3PO. It's when they first kind of met. It's like kind of in the beginning. And C-3PO is going on and on and on. And he's not talking. And Luke literally puts his hand up to like shut him up. It totally made me laugh.
What a great moment is when one of the sand people, like, he's looking through his binoculars, and you see that, like, the motion in front of the binoculars.
Yes.
And the sand people are scary.
They are so scary.
They are scary.
My god.
I love that shot, and I love when C-3PO just, like gets scared and falls backwards. Really, really good.
Yes. I forgot about the Ewoks.
Well, the Ewoks aren't in this.
What are the little things?
The Jawas. Jawa.
The Jawa? The things that took R2-D2?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I thought they were Ewoks.
With the little lights. No, the Ewoks are the teddy bear things. And
maybe it was my eyes.
Return of the Return of the Jedi.
So, okay, never mind. Strike that.
I love, and I forgot about this, and this struck me differently through my middle age lens with Darth Vader.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought he was just so completely feared, but he's actually kind of not. Like, he gets a lot of criticism about his religion, the Force, and he says, I find your lack of faith disturbing. And even though he has the power to strangle people with a twist of his finger, people still just, like counter him. They challenge him. And even the guy, his name is, his actor's name is Peter Cushing. I don't remember his name. But he's like this sort of like the admiral or the general. And he's like, Lord Vader, please, let's continue. I was like, oh shit, he just shut Darth Vader up.
Well, I thought it was interesting that Darth Vader isn't really the boss on this
He's
ship.
not. I know.
That shocked the hell out of me. I'm like, wait a minute, someone's giving him orders.
Yeah. At one point, the guy tells him to be quiet so they can keep going.
He's not the boss.
Wow.
I was shocked. So when does that change? That must change down the line.
Well, it changes because he's the only person left of the Empire.
Okay.
Because it's like the whole Death Star blows up at the end, and that was the whole thing. Because another note I have is like, really, Darth Vader's getting into a TIE fighter, like he's gonna fight him like on his own, even though he had like the TIE fighters on either side.
Sure.
But is that the name of the? Yeah, that's the name of it. But it's like, so he is. But then the whole thing blows up, and his spaceship goes flying off. But that's the whole point, because basically the entire Empire is destroyed.
Okay.
Darth Vader is the last man standing, so he has to strike back, so to speak. Yeah.
So yeah, that was so interesting. I had no recollection of him not being the boss at all. I was very surprised.
I do love that scene where he tries to choke the guy. I think that's really effective and scary.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely scary.
Yeah, but the real villain is really that, I wish I could remember his name, is Peter Cushing as the actor, but he's the one who's like, Princess Leia, tell us where the rebellion bases are.
He's the bad guy.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre.
And they have her home planet in view, which looks a lot like Earth. Yes. Very effective. I thought that was, through my middle age lens, that was a very effective device to be like, here's how evil they are. They're blowing up a planet that looks like Earth. And she's basically saying, like, she doesn't know. And he's like, well, then we'll blow up your planet. And she's like, Dantoonie. They're on Dantoonie or whatever. And they fucking blow
it up anyway. So effective.
Oh, my God.
So effective. And then,
so evil.
So evil.
But what was great is she lied.
Yes.
That was the whole thing. Like, she lied anyway. I'm like, good. I'm glad she lied.
Yeah, I'm glad she lied.
Those bastards.
Good girl. Good girl for lying. I do think, speaking of her, I thought it was funny where it was after that scene, and I forget who he was talking to. Maybe he was talking to Darth Vader? I don't know. He was talking to somebody he said, kill her immediately. Right? So, if someone tells you to kill someone immediately, wouldn't you just go there and kill them right then and there, like within a couple of minutes, right? Well, it was probably like maybe 10, 15 minutes later. They're like, let's go they needed to talk to Princess Leia about something. I forget what it was. But they went to go get it. So I'm like, wait a minute. You told them to kill her. So technically she should already be dead. You're lucky she's still alive if you still need her. I thought that was really funny.
That's a good point.
So Han Solo. Dun, 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 dun. And did you have something else to say before Han Solo?
No.
I'm so sorry.
I know we're
jumping all over the place.
We are jumping, but it's all shallow dives. But I think I don't know why. I remember Han Solo having more of like a moment, like a presence for me. And this time around, maybe because I'm so Harrison-Forded out with like Indiana Jones and Star Wars and everything else, that it's like, I was like, oh, okay, he's just like a little like rascally character.
Yeah, I remembered that, but I think it's probably because he has bigger roles in the next
other
two,
ones, yeah.
Right? But,
well, I don't know, because he's just frozen in like carbon in one of the movies, so for like at least half of it. So, but I think, oh God, what else?
I just loved him. I just loved everything about him. I loved that he was like all about the money, and he made no mistake about it. He's like, nope, I'm not going to help you. I don't want to help you. I don't want to be involved. Oh, money? Okay. I'll do it for money. And even when, you know, like, just, he had a lot of really fun little, like, moments and lines and...
Well, every time he referred to Princess Leia, he was like, okay, your worshipfulness.
Yeah, he was just so sarcastic.
Yeah,
Didn't
but
care.
she was sarcastic too. Like, she's like, you came here to save me without a plan to save me.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the trash compactor scene is like something like just that is like pure nostalgia from my childhood. And I remember being 5 years old and thinking that Luke Skywalker died.
Oh wow!
Because he was under the water for so long.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love that whole setup. I love it. There's a point in this movie where it's just like you said, it's not very action packed, and that, like, I think it's more so for the beginning. There's a lot of talking and like Obi-Wan Kenobi and the Force and training and this.
It was just so much more than I remember.
It's all these backstories.
Yeah,
it's like
lots of that.
Greedo and like the all the money that Han Solo owes and like people picking fights at the bar. I mean, it was like all this like these little. I don't even know what you would call them. These like little mini dramas.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second half, like that second hour is just like non-stop tension, drama, action. Yeah.
True. It's a long movie. That's why.
I am a little, like, I did have this really dirty, like mean thought when Princess Leia and Luke are like, they're on the bridge, but he already blew out the panel so they can't activate the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
The door opens, but just a little, so you can see the ankles of the stormtroopers.
Interesting, yeah.
I feel like the stormtroopers just should have blasted their feet.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't understand.
I mean, that's what I would have done.
Like, their goal at that point, the mission is kill Princess Leia.
Right.
Why did it have to be so dainty? Like, they should have just been like, why go pew, pew? I talked about this in the Terminator. It's like pew, pew, pew. And it's like, no, you're like, like, I mean, like, just fucking blast them.
That's
There's
your job.
4 of them. Make more room on the bridge. Spread out a little bit more. And just, like, blast the living hell out of them. Like,
maybe they only had a number of bullets. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I would love to know how many bullets, like, or even, like, in the Millennium Falcon, like, they just had an endless supply of bullets. I did, like...
Are they laser beams? I don't even know.
Or lasers, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, laser beams.
But going back to the sludge, when Luke was under the sludge for so long.
Yeah.
The one thing I thought of, and I wrote it down, when it was being pulled under, I'm like, it's so terrifying. I just said, don't be sad, Luke. Coming back to the never-ending story.
Well, it's funny because what I like about that scene too is like they have that weird eyeball that pops up, and it's almost cute. It's almost cute.
Yes.
Like you're like, oh, it's cute. It's like it's not like a scary thing. It's like a goofy thing.
Yeah.
But then it gets super, super life-threatening, and I really liked it.
So crazy.
Chewbacca, when he was like, he's like, oh, and Han Solo's like, I don't care what you smell. I don't care what it smells like.
Yeah.
It's really, there's a lot of like funny stuff in here. You mentioned that earlier, like a lot of funny lines and stuff, and there are, and I think like there is a lot of sarcasm.
Yes,
too.
Especially with Han Solo, for sure. He's just great. Like he even said at some point they were like hiding and sneaking, and he's like bring them on. I'd prefer to have a straight fight than all of the sneaking around. I'm like, this is why I love you.
Yeah.
This is why I love you. Because he's like the manliest man trying to like just be the man. Let me kill them all.
Ready for this?
Yes.
Original choice for Han Solo. Not super surprising. Burt Reynolds.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
And also in the running, Al Pacino. I don't know if I could picture that.
That would be a very interesting choice. Yeah, I don't think I could. It would have to be a totally different type of character, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So Obi-Wan with Darth Vader. I thought so. Maybe I don't know if you saw them. I mean, you're like a super fan of this movie, so you probably see it differently. But when they started fighting with the laser, the lightsaber, it was so sexual when they first started putting the sorry, I keep saying laser, the lightsaber on, like. Okay, so Darth Vader's standing there with the lightsaber, and all of a sudden Obi-Wan has thing right by his
Yes.
penis, and all of a sudden it went zoop, and I'm like, what is happening right now? It looked so funny to me. I just laughed.
Yeah.
Did you notice it?
I did notice that
Okay,
too.
good.
Yeah,
So
and I
I'm not
definitely
just
didn't notice it as a kid.
I'm sure you did
Definitely
not.
did
I did
not.
not notice it as a kid either.
But one thing else I didn't notice as a kid that I noticed much more as an adult is Obi-Wan just like stands still. Like he sees Luke.
He sacrifices himself.
Yeah, and he sacrificed himself. And I was like, oh, does he want him to see how pure evil Darth Vader is? Because Darth Vader is his father. I mean,
it's very unclear why he all of a sudden stops fighting.
Yeah.
And just...
Well, he sees Luke.
He does
so
see
Luke. And he acknowledges, and he smiles. Yes. He actually smiles, and he's like, and he just stands still. And it's almost like, will Vader just take me down? And if he does, he wants Luke to see it, to know what Luke is. So Luke knows what he's up against.
I guess. I don't know.
But it was weird.
It was weird.
I didn't even Google
that he would
I didn't
do that.
Google
like
why
wouldn't
he
he
did
just
that.
keep fighting? Like he knows that. So he knows that Darth Vader's going to try to kill Luke. So why would he just like, I don't want to fight your battles? Like, what is that?
Although I did laugh when you have all these stormtroopers, their job is to guard the Millennium Falcon, make sure no one escapes. They're like, ooh, a fight. Like it's like teenagers. It's like, ooh, someone's fighting in the cafeteria, and like everyone like gathers around. Like they're truly they left their post to watch a lightsaber fight.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
Here's a middle-aged lens for you. I found the sound of the lightsabers so distracting. Like they were too loud.
Really?
Yeah, it was so funny. And it's totally a middle-aged lens.
Yeah.
Like I would not have thought that way as a child. But it was like
yeah.
And I'm like, oh my god, I gotta block my ears. It's too loud. Like it was just and the way like the way the sound was distracting and just it was too loud. It was like very uncomfortable to my delicate ears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it. I've always loved the lightsabers.
I always liked the lightsabers, but I just didn't remember the noise it made. But I did say honestly, as far as fights go, did you not find the lightsaber fight a little bit boring?
Yeah, I think partly because they knew what they were doing.
But it was literally like...
But it's the
boom,
boom, boom.
Boom.
Well, I think the
boom.
Force...
Like there's no twists and turns. There's no falling down. There's like they were literally just standing there like clinking the laser beams
Well,
together.
I think because they both know each other's moves. I think that was established. Like they have this psychic bond where it's like they both believe in the Force, but one is for good and one is for evil. Mm-hmm. And I think that's maybe why it was a little lackluster. I think also part of that is that Sir Alec Guinness has got to been in his 60s or 70s making that, and
it made me long for the Princess Bride. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, like real swashbuckling.
Like some little more action.
Yeah, I kind of liked it. I liked that it was so like methodical and serious. Mm-hmm. And if it was too crazy, if like they started like levitating or like running up against and charging, like I don't know if it would have been as effective. I think there was something very like intense and dramatic about the way they were.
I feel like if Obi did not sacrifice himself, they could have been gone for hours. Bam.
They'd still be playing.
Blam.
Yeah.
Blam. Blam. Bam. I mean, maybe he just got bored with fighting. Maybe that's what happened. He's like, forget it. This is boring. I'm shutting mine off.
Well, I don't know. My thought was like, he wants Luke to see how evil, because he lied to Luke. He said, your father died. Mm-hmm. Darth Vader killed him.
Yes.
And he was one of the soldiers that Darth Vader killed. And I think it was like I think it was very thought out. Like because he doesn't ever want Luke to think that Darth Vader is a remotely good person, because he probably knew it would come out at some point that Darth Vader is his father.
Yeah.
But remember, he killed Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes. Does Obi-Wan Kenobi show up in any of the other...
In, like, hologram forms.
Okay, because I was going to say, I remember him being a major, major character in the whole series of Star Wars movies. Like, his name's synonymous with Darth Vader and Yoda and all that, right?
Yeah.
And it was just weird to me, like, he dies this early on in this series?
The series, yeah.
So I imagine he must have come back.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure, I know.
And obviously in the pre...
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so then for Luke, to be honest, I don't have any other notes.
What
I
else do I have? What do you think of the bar scene?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I loved it as a kid.
All the different characters.
Super fun and like just funny. Just like the personalities are there.
Oh yeah.
Just like I thought that was really
that
funny.
walrus man is really scary.
Oh god.
And the other guy, oh my god.
Just really interesting characters.
Yeah.
Though. So it brings me down to so now they find out they have to go down this like tunnel like to get into this, right? They have to fly down into this like little tunnel thing, and I remember video games made from this. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Like the Star Wars video, it was like you were in this tunnel.
Yeah.
Not that I played video games much, but I remember that. It was such a cool visual. But I will say, before that, I have this note here. When Han Solo and Luke are flying in their little, whatever it is they're flying, and the chairs are moving, I'm like, that would make me sick. That's another middle-aged lens. Watching them trying to shoot, I'm like, what is the point of this moving all around? Ugh, I would not be able to do it.
Yeah, it's almost like either one or the other. Either the gun moves,
and
you
can't
don't.
Have your whole seat move. Like this isn't.
Well, and the gun was moving.
And the gun, everything was moving.
Everything was moving. It's like, yeah.
And they're up in space.
So we got a little nauseous. Yeah. But I did love. I liked how convincing. It's like pretty cliche. It's like, oh, he was the last fighter that made it. But I actually liked how it didn't quite go down the way I remember. Like I remember being like that the other fighters weren't maybe as strong or as good. But like no, it was like they were just like they just were being destroyed. But like it felt like right. It felt like believable. And even Luke's ship was because a couple of them were like hit once. And they didn't necessarily blow up, but then they were like hit a bunch of times and they blew up. Or one was hit and then crashed into the wall.
My only criticism of that was it was a very long sequence. And I liked the visual of being in the tunnel and everything. Yeah. It was a long sequence and it felt like the same thing was happening over and over again. Like, okay, so now this guy gets blown up. Okay, next guy. Okay, now this guy gets blown up. Okay, next guy. And it was just like, it seemed like it was just the same thing over and over and over again to me.
It was.
Yeah, it just was a little bit like, okay, can we change it up a little bit? I know you're just in a tunnel, but can you do something different?
The thing that drove me a little crazy were those green laser beams. Because at one point they just stopped, and I'm like, wait, why did they stop? And also, who's operating them? Or are they just like totally random? And also, if that is the case, why not just have like a beam of radioactive, right? Like if you know that is your Achilles heel, don't just have this like two gun, pew, 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 pew. It's like have like a million of them on all sides.
Yeah. That's an excellent point, Brian. Excellent point. I have a quote from Han Solo. What good is a reward if you ain't around to use it?
Yeah.
I love that. I said, Luke. Let me see if this makes. Oh, Luke. Oh, so after all of this, it was actually before the tunnel thing. Okay, they're on this planet or whatever. They're talking to other people. Yep. The fighting's done for now. And Luke, I just wrote, Luke is kind of a pussy because he's walking around like all kind of mopey, and he's like, it was after Han Solo left. He's like, I thought Hans would change his mind, and then he's like, I wish Ben were here. Super
whiny.
Man up, buddy. Yeah. Man up.
He is a little whiny.
Yeah, super whiny.
He is a kid. We have to remember. We actually skipped over one of my favorite scenes, and I remember it being so much more meaningful when I was younger, but I still liked it. But when Luke is like walking out of the house and he sees the two moons in the sky.
Yes.
And it's like that beautiful music. And Family Guy like sort of did a parody of that. But like I just love the visuals of that. I love the music. I love like the music swelling up.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of a very Disney sort of device where it's like the princess wants more and she looks out out of her world.
Oh my gosh.
But Luke is just like so bored and he's like, I know there's something more for me. And he's like,
remind you of The Outsiders at all? Stay Golden.
Oh my god.
It's kind of similar.
Perhaps.
With better graphics.
Yeah. But I do love that scene. Another funny thing we skipped over was when, so Leia and Han are bickering,
Mm-hmm.
is it Han?
I think isn't it Han Solo?
Or is it Han Solo?
Han Solo? I don't know.
So
Han or Han? That's the question.
he's like, Han says, what do you think? You think a princess like that and a guy like me could ever... No!
Oh my god, so damn funny. And I love the smirk.
Oh yeah,
He obviously did it on purpose.
100%.
Did Han Solo ever hook up with Leia?
Oh my god, they end up getting married, I think.
They do end up getting married? Okay, good.
But,
I see the sexual
yeah, I remember
energy.
the whole thing when because they hook up, and then at one point Princess Leia says, I love you, and he says, I know.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right.
But they're great together.
And
I was really impressed with Carrie Fisher. I don't think of her as much of an actress as I think of her more of like a writer and just a funny personality. But she's really, really, really good in this. I like.
She is really good. Was this one of her first movie roles? Yeah. It doesn't seem like it. Like she seems pretty natural.
Confident. Yeah, she was in oh god, I hate when I do this to myself. Like was she in Shampoo? She was in a couple other things before.
Remember.
She was in a few things before this, but I loved her. I love the ending.
I just realized something when you were just talking about that and her roles. Do you know she actually, and it makes sense because I think she and Penny Marshall were friends in real life. She actually replaced Cindy Williams on Laverne and Shirley in the last season because Shirley left, and she replaced her as another character. Yeah. Not a roommate. Oh. It wasn't that much of a replacement, but they brought somebody else.
What do they call it? Laverne?
It was Laverne and Company, I think.
Wow.
I think it was something like that.
I don't remember
Laverne
that.
and Shirley and Company, or something. It was something like that. Maybe they kept the Shirley. I'll have to look that up. But yeah, isn't that funny?
Oh, that is really funny.
And she was almost going to be Princess Leia.
Wow.
Interesting. I just realized that.
Oh, but I do love the ending, how heavy it is. I love that they're getting awarded these medals of honor. I love what a great way to end such a saga.
End scene with Luke, Han Solo, and Chewbacca walking out gave me chills.
Yeah.
I loved it.
And when they all turn and face the camera.
Nice final shot.
Love it.
My last note was that was so good. There needs to be more endings like that.
I agree. It feels so complete.
Yeah.
And they're rewarded for their heroism, and the world is right again.
Yeah, and you feel good as an audience member watching it. That was a good movie. The movie is done.
It's done. Because otherwise, I feel like any action or adventure type thing like this would just be it end with some big explosion, and then it would just end, and then they would hug each other or something, or there'd be tears, or
we'll get them, or let's go.
Yeah. Oh, there's more fighting to be done. Yeah. It's but this was no, this feels completely perfect. Mm-hmm. Loved it. Oh, I have one more bit of trivia.
Okay.
Original casting for Luke, William Catt. Greatest American Hero. And then Kurt Russell was also talked about.
I feel like he would be better as Han Solo.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
He wouldn't make a good Luke.
Mm-hmm.
But William Catt, that might be an interesting choice.
Yeah. It'd be funny they would go with two TV people, though. Like Cindy Williams.
Yeah. Interesting. Because they didn't really cross over much back then.
I'm curious about the dates, though. I know Greatest American Hero was after Star Wars, but I feel like he has that Luke Skywalker vibe.
He definitely, he has that sort of
geeky,
innocent
anti-hero sort of thing.
Definitely. Well, makes sense, right?
Right. I do have a match game.
And I have an FMK.
Ooh. What do you want to do first?
So, let's do the FMK, because it's quicker.
Okay.
So, all right. So, FMK, I have 3. Where are they? Okay. Well, actually, it's not that bad. So we have Luke Skywalker.
Okay.
We have Han Solo.
Okay.
And we have Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Okay.
So I was thinking about maybe doing it a little more creatively, but I'm not going to do that. I don't know if I want to think about you having relations with a droid or something.
I thought you were going to throw Chewbacca in there, to be honest.
Chewbacca, well, you would have totally
Jabba the Hutt. Oh my god. Alright, so this is pretty easy.
Okay.
I think it's the only real answer.
I'm going to write down what I think. I think it's the only real answer also.
I'm going to kill Obi-Wan.
Okay.
I'm going to marry Han Solo.
Yeah.
And F Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Han is fun.
Yeah.
Like, he's just so sarcastic and funny, and, like, nothing phases
do you feel,
him.
I have that also written down, so we have a match, which is
okay, great.
But do you feel like he would be more apt to, like, go off and, like, kind of desert you? Since
Han
he's
Solo?
Kind of a loner?
That's okay.
They're okay with that? That's nice. And Luke is probably a virgin, so you'll probably break him in.
Oh, God. I have a match. I'm not even addressing.
You're not even addressing
He is young. He is a young man, Christina.
And you want to F him.
Use the Force, Luke. So...
use the lightsaber, Luke.
My... Speaking of lightsabers, it's part of my match game.
Yay! Okay, let's hear it then.
All right, here we go. An ordinance was passed throughout the galaxy that lightsabers can no longer be kept in your pants pocket.
Ooh.
Yeah. Too many people were cutting their blanks off.
Oh, brother.
See, lightsabers can no longer be kept in your pants pocket. Too many people were cutting their blanks off. All right. Christy, you already have your answer? Oh, my God.
I have the answer. I haven't written it, but...
Right. Christina.
Right. Yes.
Lightsabers can no longer be kept in pants pockets.
Okay.
That's because too many people have been cutting their blanks off.
Their Johnsons off.
Wow, I had leg. You are...
I almost said leg.
You are disgusting.
That would have been awesome. I almost wrote leg just to make you sound front-loaded.
That's Star Wars. Oh, and on Patreon.
Oh, right. Patreon.
We're doing our favorite. So we both talked about this. Sci-fi is not really our genre,
True.
right?
Yeah.
So we are going to put ourselves to the task, and we have picked our favorite sci-fi movie.
Yeah, little selfies.
Selfie stories.
Selfie story.
Yeah.
Favorite sci-fi movies. So yeah, go to patreon.com/oldroommates. And you can let us know what your favorite sci-fi movies. Are we doing TV too? I guess we could do TV.
We could do TV too. Why not? Sure.
So whatever sci-fi, whatever.
Because sci-fi is like, I mean, yeah, it's one of those divisive categories.
Yes,
right?
for sure.
But I will say also on Spotify, if you listen to us on Spotify, please go to our Spotify, page and just give us a star rating. Spotify is now asking for star ratings for podcasts. We would love
I don't even think
vote.
I've rated us. Can
Wow.
I do that? I can do that.
Of course you can. I did.
All right.
So so just please go to Spotify and give us a star rating.
Or even just give us 5 stars.
Just give us 5 stars. There you go.
If you need to give us less than 5 stars, shoot us an email.
And
let us know why. Yeah, oldroommatespod@gmail.com. So if you're going to sit there and do something less than 5, please let us know first so we can correct it.
That's right.
Okay? I'm serious about that. We want everyone to have a 5-star experience when you're listening to us.
1000%.
Yeah. And that's it for this episode of Old Roommates. Thank you for listening. For bonus content, please visit us at patreon.com/oldroommates.
And follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, @Old Roommates. Thanks for listening. See you next time.